Great. All right, so thank you to the Royal Oak Public Library for hosting me today in my cooking class. I am Chef Val. I have been teaching healthy, whole foods cooking classes since 1997, and I've been in the food industry since 1985. Food is my life. I love food, I love cooking, I love sharing my recipes with people. And so today I'm going to teach you how to make a quinoa, corn, summer salad, and it's going to have cucumbers in it, and it's going to have a vinaigrette dressing. During the cooking class, I like audience participation. So even though this is virtual through Zoom, I like to communicate. So we have the chat, and you can put any questions you want in the chat. You can also put comments, like when I start cooking with the cucumbers, you can say, cucumbers, I love cucumbers, they're my favorite vegetable, or anything you feel like contributing is perfectly fine. Now, halfway through the class, there's usually some downtime where the food's cooking or something, and I will probably open up the floor and say, hey, does anybody have any questions? You are more than welcome to unmute yourself at that time and ask me a question if you want. And at the end of the class, after the recipe is done, there's usually time for us to chat back and forth if you have any additional questions. So for right now, let me get started with the recipe. But before I get started, I like to ask everybody in the class a question. So what made you decide to attend the cooking class this evening? Have you been to my cooking class before through the Royal Oak Library? Are you looking for healthy recipes? Are you just starting on your journey of eating healthy? Maybe you're looking for vegan recipes, or maybe you're looking for recipes that use whole grains or organic food. Just wondering, what drew you to the class, and you can just put your answer in the chat there and I will see it. All right, I'm going to move the camera over to my stove because the first thing we're going to do is cook quinoa. Been to other classes with you? Awesome. Looking for healthy recipes, looking for healthy vegan quick recipes. Awesome. That's fantastic. So we are going to start with the whole grain quinoa. Who here has had quinoa, and what do you think of it? This is what it looks like. Very, very small whole grain. Can you see how the kernel is very small? So that means that this is the whole grain. Susan says, I enjoy it. This is a whole grain because the kernel is so small. It's going to cook up pretty darn fast. Quinoa is one of the signature whole grains of summertime. Quinoa. Broadening our grain salad repertoire. Thank you, Susan. Wonderful. So let me start the cooking process of the quinoa, and then I'll tell you the health benefits. I have 1 cup of quinoa, and I have 2 cups of water. And I'm going to put it on the stove. And I'm going to put that quinoa right in the pot. Guess what? I'm not going to rinse the quinoa. I know there's a lot of people that rinse their quinoa. I have had many discussions on it. Some people think that the quinoa has a bitter flavor to it, and by rinsing it, it helps to alleviate that bitter flavor. But a lot of organic whole grain quinoa that you buy in the store has been pre-rinsed before they package it and sell it to you. And so as you are eating quinoa on a regular basis, you will notice whether or not you think it's really bitter in particular. If you think that it's bitter to your taste buds, because some people are sensitive to that, rinse the quinoa. I've been cooking quinoa for 30 years and I have never rinsed it. I've never thought that it had an overly bitter flavor, but I also mix my quinoa with lots of delicious vegetables like today, the peas and the cucumbers and the salad dressing. That's what I'm going to taste mostly, not the whole grain quinoa. But it's interesting that quinoa has a bitter flavor because in the summertime, all foods that have a bitter flavor are considered signature summertime foods. Those foods feed and nurture your brain and your heart. So What are some foods? Can you think of any foods that are bitter to the taste? Can you think of anything else besides quinoa? I already gave you quinoa. That's bitter to the taste. What are some other things you can think of that maybe is bitter to the taste? I'll give you a cheat. What's this? That's going in the recipe too. Yep, Susan says green. So parsley, bitter to the taste, right? So parsley is excellent for your heart. Almost all your greens, dandelion greens, those are great for your heart. And so bitter is the signature flavor. Anytime you eat something that's bitter, it feeds and nurtures your brain and your heart. And that's what quinoa does. Now, quinoa is a whole grain, a complex carbohydrate. It gives your body energy. Complex carbohydrates get digested very slowly in your intestinal tract, and they release glucose very slowly in your system to give you long, sustainable energy to last throughout the day. That's what whole grains, complex carbohydrates do. If you want energy, you need to eat whole grains, complex carbohydrates. Now, quinoa has been eaten for over, well, since 3000 BC or longer. That's recorded history. And it was the ancient food of the Incas. And so quinoa is a plant that will grow way up in the mountain where the atmosphere is really thin, which means quinoa is a super strong plant. It's very hardy and it'll grow where the atmosphere is thin. And in Oriental medicine, they teach us whatever the plant does in nature, whatever energy it holds in nature, when you eat it, it becomes your energy, and then it creates that health inside your body. So if you want to be very strong, very resilient, that you can survive in, I want to say like thin atmosphere, but you get the analogy because out in the mountains, it's thin atmosphere. So if you want to be able to survive and be really strong and resilient, quinoa is a whole grain for you. Quinoa also is a complete protein. So it's a complex carbohydrate, but it also contains all 8 essential amino acids, which means it's a complete protein, and it has a small amount of fat in it. So it's a complex carbohydrate, a protein, and a fat. It is a complete food. All right, so let me take 1 second break from the nutritional profile and show you the quinoa. Do you see how it's boiling? That's called a rapid boiling. That's starting the cooking process. That's starting the opening of the kernel of the whole grain. You only need to let it boil at high for just a minute. And then you put it on a back burner on a low temperature and you put a lid on it. Now that right there is a flame tamer or a flame diffuser. I use these things all the time when I cook my whole grains. It evenly disperses the heat from the stove to the pot so your whole grains cook evenly. You don't accidentally scorch the whole grain when you use this flame tamer or flame diffuser. Now, quinoa only takes 15 minutes to cook, 15 to 20 minutes. So I'm going to set the timer for 15. All right, I got the timer set for 15. We'll check it. Sometimes it needs the additional 20 minutes, 5 minutes, but all right. So if you're interested, this is what the flame tamer, flame diffuser looks like. This is metal. This is wood. You can find these on Amazon. I've had these things for 30 years. I'm still using them. But if you're going to cook whole grains a lot, I love this. And so I'm cooking on a gas stove now for the last 16 years. I've lived in my house. I've cooked on gas. But before that, I lived in an apartment for 10 years and I had an electric stove, and I use this thing on an electric stove too. It just, so you don't accidentally scorch your whole grain. Your grains cook up perfectly with this flame tamer. Okay. All right. So other things about quinoa, contains vitamin E, which is a natural antioxidant, contains B vitamins, which is very important because your body gets depleted of B vitamins when you get stressed out. High in calcium, high in iron, phosphorus, amino acids, its anti-inflammatory properties. Quinoa is a fantastic whole grain, especially for summertime, because cooking the whole grain for 15 minutes, you're not imparting that much heat into the grain. So in the summertime, we want to eat foods that cook quicker, because then we're not in as much heat in our body. So we're cool when it's hot outside, right? Okay, so that's quinoa. If there's any more questions about quinoa, put them in the chat. Meanwhile, another ingredient in the salad today is walnuts. And walnuts, in Oriental medicine, they teach us when a food looks like a particular organ in the body, it feeds and nurtures that organ. So what does a walnut look like? What does a walnut look like? I already answered the question at the beginning of the class. Yeah, your brain. Yeah. So in the summertime, we feed and nurture the brain and the heart. So walnut is excellent brain food, contains omega-3 fatty acids, high in protein, and walnuts are slightly bitter to the taste, right? There's that bitter flavor again. You should never eat nuts and seeds in their raw form. All nuts and seeds contain a particular enzyme that makes them hard to digest. So you want to roast, toast, or soak your nuts and seeds. Never ever eat them raw. So I'm going to just quickly toast them. Also, toasting the walnuts brings out the flavor and makes them more flavorful. It's very easy to do. I'm going to take a colander and I'm going to put the walnuts in the colander and I'm just going to rinse them. That's it. Just a real quick rinse. Why am I doing that? Because if I get the nuts moist, then when I put them in the pan, they will cook evenly. You can throw them in the pan dry, but then you might accidentally have a tendency like to burn some of them and the other ones won't get done. If you rinse the nuts or seeds and put them in the pan wet, I mean, they're not soaking wet, I just rinsed them, they cook evenly. It's just a better way to cook them. All right, so here I've got my pan. It's just a plain saute pan. You don't need anything in it. And you just put the nuts in there like so. I have this on a low temperature. I'm going to keep it on a low temperature because I'm going to be cutting vegetables and showing stuff to you. So if you were at home and you were cooking this and this was all you were cooking, you could put it on a medium and you could stand here and watch it, but I'm going to continue to cook. Now, another thing I love to do with my nuts and seeds is just put a pinch of sea salt on there too. I'm just seasoning the nuts and seeds with a pinch of sea salt. We don't need to stand here and constantly stir them. We can just let them hang out and cook. So because I have this on a low temperature, this is probably going to take 5 to 7 minutes for them to cook. What's the minimum amount of time you recommend soaking walnuts, Chuck? I'm not a fan of soaked nuts. I actually like roasting or toasting them better, but a recommended amount of time, you're right. So you're looking for the least amount of time you could soak your walnuts. That's a good question. I would say 3 hours would be the least amount of time. But again, I'm not a fan of soaked nuts. I mean, you can do that and make them more digestible. Don't get me wrong. That's great. I like roasting them or toasting them. I think they're more delicious that way. Sometimes at the store, you can actually buy nuts or seeds that say that they've been soaked, and that means they're going to be easy to digest. The nuts and seeds that say raw, once you get them home, like these walnuts were not cooked, you're going to want to cook them. But then after you cook them, if you don't eat them up right away, store them in the fridge. After they're roasted, toasted, or soaked, store them in the fridge, because you're going to want to store them in the fridge so that they keep longer. Okay. Normally, I actually do a larger batch of walnuts. Once they're roasted or toasted, I store them in the fridge because I'm cooking with them all the time. Can I eat cashews raw, Wanda? Excellent question. Did you know you cannot eat cashews raw? The cashew, when it comes off of the plant, and the nut, you cannot eat it raw. Those cashew nuts that you buy at the store that say raw, they have been boiled, they have been cooked. That is the only way that you can eat cashews. So it's a marketing ploy. That's how they produce cashews. You know, you pick it off of the tree and the nut is hanging down from a fruit and they harvest that nut. The human body cannot digest that nut raw right off the tree. So what you buy in the store has been cooked. So again, it's a weird marketing thing. They put raw cashew on there. Almonds are different. Almonds are different than cashews. But again, always roast or toast your almonds, just like we're toasting the walnuts. But cashews and almonds are a different plant. But I know for sure cashews always have to be cooked before they can even sell them. So it's a marketing ploy where they use the word raw because they want, you know, they brainwash people to think that raw is better. And some foods are better raw, but some foods are better cooked. So we need a balance. We need raw food, we need cooked food. And living in Michigan, we live with different seasons. So more raw food in the summertime because it's very cooling to your body, more cooked food in the wintertime because that's going to warm your body up. So we want to eat a balance, both cooked and raw. And a lot of times in the summer, like this salad I'm teaching you, I'm cooking the quinoa, but I'm not going to cook the cucumbers or the scallions. So we're going to have cooked and we're going to have raw together in one dish. All right. Moving on, cucumbers. I love cucumbers. One of my favorite vegetables. They are a signature vegetable of summertime because of their high water content. High water content food will help cool your body down. You want to eat it in the summertime. That would include cucumbers, lettuce. There's such a wide variety of lettuce, but anything with a high water content. All right, so you're going to go to the store and you're going to buy your cucumbers. Of course, I always recommend you get organic cucumbers. I recommend you get organic food as much as possible because we don't want to eat pesticides and chemicals. But you go to the store and you see an organic cucumber and it's $2.50. That's how much this was. This is one of those organic cucumbers. It was $2.50. I realize that's really expensive. So I also picked up a conventional cucumber for 69 cents. Just to show you an option, because I realize that a lot of people complain about how expensive organic produce is. Now, as soon as cucumbers are available from our farmers, let's go to the farmers market and buy their cucumbers because theirs are going to be the best, right? Or if you grow your own. All right, so let's work with these cucumbers. Let's say you're at the store and the only thing that you can purchase is the conventional cucumber. You must peel this cucumber, okay? You must peel it because on the outside of the cucumber, there's wax. They have coated this vegetable with some type of wax to make it last longer in the store. They've been doing that for years and years and years. So first thing you always do, if you can't find organic, you peel that cucumber. Same thing with apples. If you cannot get organic apples, you must peel them. That's the first thing we want to do. Now, most of your vitamins and minerals are located right underneath the skin. Another reason why it's always better to get organic, because here's our beautiful organic cucumber. We don't need to peel it, right? I thought this would be fun to just do a little comparison here between the two to see what's going on. So let's cut the ends off of the cucumber. All right, who here grows cucumber in their garden or gets cucumbers out of their garden? Anybody? All right, so what I did first is I took the cucumbers and I cut them in half. I just moved the walnuts just once so far. They're still cooking at a low temperature. Nobody commented, so I guess nobody, the local farmers market here in Westland, I have a booth there every Thursday selling organic sugar-free jams and pieces of pie. And when the local farmers get their produce in, they always have organic cucumbers and I buy them and they're so delicious. But so here we have the organic one. This is the non-organic one. They look pretty similar on the inside. Even though this one claims to be seedless, it still has the seeds in it. Look at that. Now, the seeds is where most of the water is. So when you create a salad like this, a lot of times my recipe says seeds removed. I'm removing the seeds just so that my salad is not really wet. I don't want all that moisture in my salad. So you take a spoon and you just go like this and all the seeds come out just like that. See? Now you can eat this. This is great for you. Go ahead and eat it. I just don't want to put it in the salad because then my salad will be really wet. All right, so let's do a taste test. Let's taste conventional one. Actually, it tastes pretty good. Let's taste the organic one. No, there is a difference, and I knew there would be a difference. And if you doubt me, do this at home for yourself. The organic one is just sweeter and it has more of a pure cucumber flavor. It really does. It really does. But again, I realize that $2.50 for one cucumber is a lot. So I want people to eat healthy. I want people to eat vegetables. And if the only thing you can do is, peel the cucumber, then that's what you have to do. All right, we're going to chop the cucumber up in small pieces because quinoa is a small whole grain. And so for it aesthetically to look nice in the salad, we're going to chop it up into small pieces. I'm actually going to use half of the organic and half of the conventional one because that just seems like a good idea. While I'm chopping this, I have to ask everybody in the class, have you heard of appeal? A-P-E-E-L. Have you heard of appeal? You can put your answer in the comments. So I'm just chopping the cucumber into small pieces. Yes. Ooh, Susan has heard of it. Great. So I've written 6 blogs about appeal. I've been doing a lot of research about it. I've been handing out flyers at the local farmers market. Chuck says no. It's A-P-E-E-L. And it is a new coating that they want to put on produce. In specific, they want to put it on avocados, apples, bananas. And this coating has never been eaten by humans before. Makes me sad, yeah. It is, you cannot remove it, okay? And they're also putting it on organic produce, which has everybody in an uproar. Oh, that's the timer for the quinoa. I will continue telling you about appeal, but let's check the quinoa first. And the walnuts. You just cook the walnuts until they're, you know how I tell the walnuts are done? They smell fantastic. So I think they need just a couple minutes. Again, I'm toasting the walnuts on a low temperature. Remember, make a note of that. But it's a low temperature. All right, let's do this. And let's see. How do you check to see if the whole grain is done? You very gently move it aside and you look in the bottom of the pan. Now I see a little bit of water still in the bottom of the pan. So let's continue to cook that quinoa for a few more minutes. I'm going to do 5 more minutes because it needs 5 more minutes. So that's how you check to see if your whole grain is done. All the water in the bottom should have been removed. All right, back to appeal. I'm making it my job to inform everybody about appeal, because the only way that this is going to be stopped is through public outcry. Again, I've written 6 blogs about appeal, all right? So if you want my blog, it's Substack Valerie Wilson, and I highly suggest you subscribe to it. Hold on a minute, I'm just typing it into the chat. Substack Valerie Wilson. So appeal contains lead, arsenic, cadmium, palladium, and mercury. That is according to the FDA approval papers, which on every one of my blogs that I've written, I have a link to the FDA approval papers to prove that that's what's in appeal. Because if you go to the website that created appeal, they're going to tell you that it's just made from grapeseed oil. It has 1 ingredient in it, and that's it. Well, I don't know about you, but if you take a vegetable and you pour oil on it, the oil is just going to go over the vegetable. It's not going to stick to the vegetable. This coating sticks to the vegetable. Their idea was for our vegetables and our fruit to have longer shelf life, so there's less waste. But what happens with some of the apples that are coated with appeal, yeah, the outside stays good, but you chop it open and the inside is all, what's the word I'm looking for? Rotten, that is coated with this appeal. Now, there have been a couple companies, Apple companies, that have said, hey, we're using this new great thing called appeal. We're coating our apples with it so it has a longer shelf life. And when the general public heard this, there was a huge outcry, and they said, no, we don't want this on our apples. And the Apple companies, after there was a huge outcry, they took it off their website and they put up an announcement saying, we're not going to use appeal. So, and there's also a couple agencies, Organic Eye, they regulate organic food and everything. They have just filed a petition to find out more about this, to say they don't want this on organic food. So again, go to Substack, Valerie Wilson, read my blogs about it. There's so much information there. I just want to make everybody aware about this, because I hand out this flyer, you know, at the farmer's market, and nobody has heard of this, because, you know, obviously if people find out they're putting this toxic coating on our food, why would anybody want this? So they didn't tell us. All right, so that's appeal. I just wanted to let everybody know. Walnuts are done. They smell wonderful. Oh, they smell so good. All right. I'm just going to take them out of the pan and kind of set them aside so they cool. Spell appeal, A-P-E-E-L. Yes, thanks, Susan. Yep, that's how you spell it. But again, if you type in A-P-E-E-L into your Google search, you will come up with the website that created it. And the website that created it tells you how great it is and that it only has 1 ingredient, okay? So don't go by the website that created the product, okay? Again, reference my Substack. I have a link to the FDA papers that tell you exactly what's in it, although there is a percentage of the ingredients that they won't tell us what it is. There's a percentage, they won't even reveal what it is, right? So it's just something you need to be aware of. Start asking at your stores if they're using it, get informed about it so that we can keep our organic produce organic, right? Because that's really important. Okay, we have parsley and scallions. So we are going to put 3 scallions into the salad also. Scallions are in the onion family. They are pungent when they're raw. So it's going to give our salad a little bit of a kick. Yes, right now, most items with appeal have the sticker on it. However, different states and different countries have different labeling laws. So there is no guarantee that the sticker would be on there. But And you know how sneaky they are. They didn't want to label genetically modified food, so they probably aren't going to want to label food that has this toxic coating on it. But right now there should be stickers with it on it. Yeah. Free scallions. I have not found any here in the stores that I shop at with this sticker on it. I have a friend in New York who found an avocado that had the appeal sticker on it. But here in Michigan, I shop at Kroger, Better Health, Fresh Time, and I have been looking and I have not seen it yet. But if anybody finds the sticker, email me, val@macroval.com, because I'd be very interested in seeing the sticker and knowing about it. Let's check the quinoa because the timer went. So we ended up cooking the quinoa for a total of 20 minutes, which is perfectly fine. All right, let's check the quinoa now. So just move it aside and all the water has been absorbed. Now, what's interesting about quinoa is the little round kernel pops open and it looks like a little squiggly circle. Such an interesting whole grain. Now, I usually let my whole grain sit for about 5 minutes in the pot after it's cooked, because the residual heat, it's going to continue to cook for a few more minutes. So let's just set this aside for a few minutes now that it's done. And let's chop our scallions. Scallions have anti-inflammatory properties, very, very important. We're just going to cut them in thin slices. So, oh, another item too, I host a radio show. It's called Real Food with Chef Val. It's a free radio show to listen to. You listen to the radio show on your computer or on your phone. There's a link at macroval.com that says, listen to Val's radio show. I teach all about food and health benefits of the food. And I share a recipe of the month on the radio show. And the last radio show I did was all about appeal. So you can listen to the radio show and learn more about it also. All right, let's put all these scallions in here like so. What did you put on your cutting board before chopping scallions? Thank you for asking that question. This is my cooking tip. I've been doing this for over 30 years. And when people attend my cooking classes, they usually say this is their favorite tip. All right, when you chop vegetables on a wooden cutting board, if you put a little bit of water, this is just water, on the wood, it fills in the pores of the wood, so your wood doesn't absorb the color or the odor of the vegetable you're chopping. So my cutting board never smells like garlic. It never smells like onion. It never turns orange when I chop sweet potatoes, because I always remember to have a wet cutting surface. It's always wet. And then after I get done chopping whatever vegetable I'm chopping, I always make sure to clean my knife and my cutting board, so I have a clean cutting surface. That's important too, to have it clean. All right, parsley. We need a 1/4 cup of parsley. That's not very much, but let's get a 1/4 cup. Parsley cleanses the blood. So again, great for your heart and your brain because it cleanses the blood. High in calcium, really high in iron, high in vitamin C. It has a natural bitter flavor to it. It's also a natural breath freshener, which is why when you eat food at a restaurant, there's like a swig of parsley on your plate. I know a lot of people think that parsley is for presentation purposes, and it is, because parsley is pretty, but parsley also can be eaten at the end of the meal so that you have fresh breath. All right, so I'm getting the parsley ready. So you get the parsley from your store, you bring it home, you take the rubber band off and you wash it really good, get all the dirt out of it. And then I'm going to chop this because we need a 1/4 cup of parsley. So I'm going to hack off just the green part. Whoops. And I'm going to get rid of that part. Uh-oh, I spilled my water. Hold on a minute. Good thing there wasn't that much water left in there, right? All right. All right, back to our parsley. Get yourself a food processor. It's the easiest way to chop parsley. Get that in the camera. See? Yep, you can see. All right, put our parsley in there like so. We're going to mince it. We have minced parsley. Parsley also is a natural remedy for kidney stones. If you ever have kidney stones, we can make parsley tea. Take the parsley and put it in some hot water and drink it. It's supposed to help break up the kidney stones. All right. There we go. My handy dandy little food processor. We have minced parsley. Now, what are you going to do with the rest of the parsley? It usually wilts when you put it in the fridge, right? Here's what you're going to do. You're going to take what's left of the parsley and you're going to form a bouquet with it. You can do all of it, but I'm not going to take the time to do all of it because this is for demonstration purposes. But so take the parsley back into a bouquet. Cut the ends off so they're even. Take the rubber band back around the stems like so. Take a container, any container that has a lid, and put a little bit of water in the bottom. And then put the parsley in there so that the stems hit the water. Put a lid on it, and then put this in the fridge. This has lasted 2 weeks in my refrigerator like this, and the parsley stays fresh. So you don't have to worry about getting rid of your parsley. You don't have to worry about it going bad. This is the best way to store your parsley so that it doesn't wilt and doesn't go bad. That's how you store your parsley. All right, I'm going to clean this cutting board here. Are there any questions so far? Any questions? Feel free to ask questions. At this point in time, if you want to mute yourself, we have a minute here. If anybody has any questions they want to ask me, that's fine. You can do that right now. Otherwise, you can type it in the chat. Oh, I don't see any questions. Doing good. I'm just trying to clean up a little bit here before we put the salad together. We're about ready to put the salad together. Okay, get yourself a big bowl. You always want a large size bowl so that everything will fit in it. Can I roast almonds with skin on them? Yes, absolutely. Yep. Great question. I am going to put the hot quinoa into the bowl like so. And then I'm going to take a half a cup of frozen organic corn. Put that in there like so. And a half a cup of frozen organic peas. And put that in there too. And then I'm going to mix this up. The hot quinoa will lightly steam the frozen organic corn and the frozen organic peas so that you don't have to dirty your steamer pot to do that with the corn and the peas. It's all in one bowl. And then you just let this sit. Now, if you were making this salad at home, you would have time to let this cool, because you kind of want this to cool before you add the cucumbers. I'll set it aside just for a minute here. Maybe we can let it cool for a minute. Let me tell you about the health benefits of the peas and the corn. And I think I forgot the health benefits of cucumbers too. We'll go over that. Okay, so corn. Corn is not your favorite vegetable. Corn is another one of the signature whole grains of summertime. Okay, even though corn is sweet to the taste, it's not bitter like quinoa, it's still a whole grain, and it is one of the signature whole grains of summertime. It feeds and nurtures, again, your brain and your heart. In fact, there's an old remedy that if you have heart problems or a heart condition, you take the corn silks. When you get the corn on the cob, take the corn silk and make a tea out of it. All you have to do is bring water up to a boil, put the silks in it, let them steep, and then strain it, and then drink that corn silk tea. That is fantastic for your heart. Corn silk tea. Corn also contains vitamin A, vitamin E, B vitamins. It's a complex carbohydrate. It's a whole grain. It's going to give your body energy. Now, unfortunately, they have genetically modified a large portion of the corn crop. So always make sure you buy organic corn. If you go to the farmer's market and they're selling corn, just ask the farmer, is that genetically modified corn? They will know the answer. They will know the answer of how they grow their corn and where their corn comes from. So that way you can get healthy, good corn with staying away from the genetically modified version. Peas. Okay, so peas are another signature summertime food. They are high in water, and they have a little burst of taste when you bite into them, right? They cook up very quickly. Remember, cooking up quickly, summertime food. They help to nurture your liver. Also, excellent brain food because they're high in protein. Okay. They also contain B vitamins, calcium, and potassium. Let's see, parsley. Oh, I told you mostly about parsley, didn't I? Ridiculously high vitamin C, good for your kidneys in case you have kidney stones. Cucumbers. Cucumbers are actually one of humanity's oldest food crop. Been eaten since at least 7,700 BC, a long time. They are 90% water. They are diuretic in nature. They will cleanse toxins out of your system, which is fantastic. And also, because of that high water content, they're going to help keep your body hydrated. Now, in the summertime, we become more active. We're outside doing yard work, and some of us are bike riding, hiking, doing all kinds of fun summer things. So we need to stay hydrated. And cucumbers are fantastic for that. Let's see, they're excellent for your digestion. They actually can help cleanse your intestines of parasites. So pretty potent food. Cucumbers also contain silicon. Silicon is essential for your body to have so that your body can utilize calcium. You have to have silicon with calcium so your body can utilize it. So that's cucumbers. Okay. Cucumber is one of my all-time favorite vegetables. I love them. While we're waiting for the quinoa to cool down just another minute, let me tell you about my upcoming cooking classes. So you're attending the class today through the Royal Oak Public Library. Thank you once again for hosting me. But I teach cooking classes on a regular basis. Some of the cooking classes are virtual like this, and some of them are in person. In the summertime, for the last 5 years, I have been teaching outdoor grilling cooking classes, and I continue to do that. The next one is Wednesday, July 12th, where we're going to be celebrating my birthday also. My birthday is technically the 11th, but we're going to celebrate it on the 12th. And I have created this dish here. This is a grilled portobello mushroom, what I call quote unquote a mock steak. And it's served with grilled onions over millet, and it has a Salisbury sauce. These are grilled carrot fries, and these are grilled millet fries, and that's a spicy sauce there in the middle. So I am teaching how to make all of these recipes. And I usually also have a surprise dish that I teach you how to make, cooked on an open fire. There's going to be a surprise recipe too. These classes are from 6 to 8:30, so they're 2.5 hours. We are cooking outside and we are all cooking together. Is that sauce vegan? Absolutely, Suzanne. Everything that I teach, all my recipes are vegan. They're whole foods, they're vegan, they're sugar-free. They're also gluten-free, healthy whole foods. These grilling classes are so much fun. If you think the only thing you can grill is meat, you are sadly mistaken. I have come up with all these different recipes, and this one, the taste is phenomenal. So I am in Westland, Michigan, not too far from Royal Oak, right? So that is the upcoming class in July for the in-person grilling class. It's a lot of fun. Everybody gets together and we cook together. It's so much fun. All right, let me move some of this stuff so we can put our salad together. Also in July, my virtual cooking classes, look on macroval.com. It was just posted. I'm going to teach how to make aquafaba vegan ice cream, 2 different flavors. One of them is a chocolate smoked caramel ice cream, and the other one is blueberry ice cream, but you could substitute your favorite fruit. You could do strawberry or whatever your favorite fruit is. And the other cooking class is a whole grain salad featuring fresh dill out of your garden. We're going to chop the walnuts, put them into the salad. I'm coming to the end of the class where we're going to put the salad together. So are there any questions about the recipe that you need clarification? What about substitutions? What if you didn't have certain ingredients? You know, what would you substitute? Like if you didn't get the cucumber, I don't see any carrots. Thank you, Suzanne. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Yep, I got the carrots. Yeah, if you didn't use the cucumbers, you could use chopped diced zucchini as a substitute for the cucumbers. If you didn't have walnuts, you could use pecan. Miss the amount of water for the quinoa. Okay, so we started with 1 cup of quinoa and 2 cups of water. So when you cook the whole grain, you always double the amount of water. That's usually the norm. Now, everybody in the class, did you receive the recipes also? Those should have been emailed to you. Just checking to make sure everybody got a copy of the recipe. I have a bag of chopped walnuts. Do they also always need to be roasted? I have a bag of chopped walnuts. Do they also always need to be roasted? It depends, like what does the bag of chopped walnuts say? Does the bag say that they're toasted? Are they salted and toasted? Does it say that they're uncooked? It depends on what the bag of chopped walnuts says, basically. All right, let's put the walnuts into the salad. Let's put the chopped scallions, the diced cucumbers, and here is the carrot that Suzanne mentioned. So it's a half a cup of grated carrot. This is going to give a beautiful sweet flavor, a little bit of crunch, and a beautiful orange color. And then we have the parsley going in there. Now I'm also going to add a third of a cup of raisins, organic raisins. It's so important. If you buy raisins, please get them organic because the grapes are dehydrated and they shrink. And so if there are toxins in the grapes, when they dehydrate them and shrink them, the toxins are going to get concentrated. And you're going to taste them and your body's not going to like you for eating them. So when it comes to raisins, it's very important that you get organic. So I have a third of a cup of organic raisins. We're going to put those in there. So there's going to be a little bit of sweetness in our salad, which is going to be nice. All right, so I've got this special ingredient that I'm going to put in there. It's dulse flakes. Have you had dulse flakes before? Anybody had dulse flakes before? Do you know what they are? No. Okay, great. All right. So dulse flakes are a sea vegetable. Sea vegetable. Sea vegetables are actual plants that grow in the ocean. They are the most nutrient dense food on the planet. Sea vegetables, ridiculously high in iron, calcium. They are high in protein. They cleanse the body of toxins. Sea vegetables are so important in your diet. All of our ancestors ate some type of sea vegetable because you could get the sea vegetable from the ocean, you dry it, non-perishable and lasts forever. You can carry it with you always. And it's an excellent source of vitamins, minerals, trace minerals, and nutrition. So our ancestors used to eat it all the time. This one in particular is dulse. It has a really nice, slightly salty taste, although not really salty. But it comes from the ocean where it grows in the salt water, so it's slightly salty. They grind up after they dry the plant. They dry the leaf and then they grind it up into flakes. This is the easiest sea vegetable to get into your diet. So if you're just starting on your journey and maybe you're not eating sea vegetables right now, there's a whole variety of them out there and you might get kind of confused. So to make it as simple as possible, let's just start with dulse flakes because you can sprinkle dulse flakes on anything that you're eating. It tastes really good in the salad. It's not a very strong flavor. You're probably not even going to know it's there. You're just going to taste the saltiness. You're going to get all the iron, all the calcium. It also has natural occurring iodine from the ocean, and the iodine feeds and nurtures your thyroid gland. Sea plants can't be purchased as organic. Should we be concerned with mercury from the ocean? No, absolutely not. You should be not concerned about mercury from the ocean. There is mercury in other things in your life that you are getting that you would be surprised about. Sea vegetables in the ocean. Again, according to Oriental medicine, sea vegetables do the same thing in our body as what they do in the ocean. Sea vegetables are actually a miraculous plant. Sea vegetables clean the water, but they don't act like a filtration system. They use osmosis to actually change anything that's toxic into healthy water. So sea vegetables are not like we think of, what's the word I'm looking for? A filter system, like the filter on our water. We think that it's filtering the water and it's collecting all those toxins. Sea vegetables don't do that. They don't do that at all. They, through osmosis, they change it into healthy water. They do the same thing in your body. They change the natural fluids and the natural water in your system to healthy versions. Okay. So sea vegetables don't have a large amount of mercury in them. And sea vegetables are so nutrient dense, you just eat a little bit of them. And you're going to find mercury in fish that you eat in higher concentrations than sea vegetables. You're going to find mercury in pharmaceutical drugs in way larger quantities than you're going to find in sea vegetables. So no, you don't have to be concerned about mercury in sea vegetables. But you're right. I mean, some of the sea vegetables I've bought do put organic on the label, but technically they are wild harvest out of the ocean. So there's kind of a fine line here that they can't technically, because of the rules and regulations, be organic, but they do come from the ocean. I hope that explained everything and that you understood it. But so we're going to put the dulse on there like so. We're going to mix this together, and then we need to do the dressing too. Wow, this is already so colorful, and I haven't even put the dressing in it yet. Look at that. You want to eat with your eyes first. You want the food to be beautiful and colorful. Now let's make the dressing. We are going to start with 1/4 cup of organic olive oil, heart healthy, mono, unsaturated fat. Heart healthy fat. They've been eating olive oil and using olive oil since before recorded history. So you're going to use some 1/4 cup of olive oil. You're going to use 2 tablespoons of brown rice vinegar made from brown rice that has been fermented. This is a sweet, pungent vinegar. This one is umeboshi vinegar. You're going to use 2 tablespoons of that. And umeboshi vinegar is a salty, pungent vinegar. And all vinegars also have the flavor of being sour. So we have sweet, salty, pungent, sour, and a little bit of bitter. We have all 5 ingredients in there already. And then we're going to use 2 teaspoons of umeboshi plum paste. Umeboshi plum paste. You can put in the chat. Have you ever had it? Have you ever had umeboshi plum paste? This is one of my favorite ingredients because of the incredible flavor that gets imparted into the food. Now, you can buy Eden. You know, Eden is a Michigan company. You can buy Eden umeboshi plum paste. You'll probably find Eden in the health food stores. You need to find this in health food stores. I get Matuko because it's imported from Japan. This is Matuko also. It's the highest quality product there is. It's going to be a little more expensive, but because I'm a chef, I'm just so particular. I get the best quality ingredients, so my food tastes really good. But it's called umeboshi plum paste. So it's the umeboshi plums that have been ground up. I think the paste is easier to work with because, as you can see, I just measured out 2 teaspoons instead of having to chop up the whole plum. Okay, so over in the Orient, they have been eating umeboshi plums for thousands of years. They take a particular type of plum, the umeboshi plum, and they mix it with sea salt and they ferment it. And so fermenting the food creates enzymes, amino acids, everything that's going to help aid in digestion. And by fermenting it, they create sweet, sour, bitter, pungent, all the flavors. But because of the fermentation process and the way that it's created, it has a strong antibacterial property. Anytime you have an upset stomach, take a little bit of umeboshi. It's like medicinal. So it's a great flavor, but you could also use it in medicinal purposes. So I'm just whisking this up with a fork, and then I'm pouring it over all the salad, and then I'm going to mix it in. This, by the way, is a complete meal. Would a date paste be a good substitute for the umeboshi paste, Suzanne? Absolutely not. A date paste is made from dates. Dates are extremely sweet. In fact, I personally can't use date paste. It's too sweet for me. The umeboshi is salty. Okay, so it's completely different taste profile. So that would not be a substitution that you could use. Yeah. All right, let's mix this together. And we have a complete meal here. We've got a complex carbohydrate, the whole grain quinoa, but we also have complete protein here because the quinoa is a complete protein. We have peas. We have good quality fat. We've got the olive oil. We have all of vitamin C and potassium and iron and magnesium. Everything's in here that we need for a complete meal. This is our quinoa salad with cucumbers, and it's very colorful too. I'll put some on a plate so you can see it. Does anybody have any questions? It's a great time to ask questions. Put some on a plate so you can see it really good. What oil can substitute for olive oil? Well, what kind of oil is your favorite oil? You could use what you want to reduce potassium. You want to reduce potassium, Wanda? Why do you want to reduce potassium? That's interesting. Yes. Okay. Do you have an imbalance, or I'm not sure what your health condition is, because everybody's different about whether they need potassium or they don't need potassium, but you want to reduce potassium. So that's interesting. Yes, imbalance, need less potassium. All right, well, potassium-rich food are beets and sweet potatoes, so stay away from those. I don't think anything in the salad is exceptionally high in potassium. The corn contains potassium, but it's not an exceptionally high potassium food. So I think the salad would be good for you. And so olive oil, you could make this salad with no oil whatsoever. Just use the 2 vinegars. That would be fine. You could use an avocado oil. Whatever type of oil you would prefer, Wanda, you could substitute the oil. Is olive oil high in potassium? I don't have that information in front of me, and I don't want to misquote myself if I say olive oil is high in potassium. So I don't want to, necessarily say yes or no. So what kind of oil do you use on a regular basis, Wanda, that's low in potassium? You could substitute that oil if you're concerned about potassium. It's interesting that you want low potassium, because I work with a lot of people with heart conditions that actually need potassium. They need potassium to help stabilize their blood sugar and also to stabilize their high blood pressure. So I work with people who actually are looking for potassium. So that's really interesting that you are looking to reduce your potassium. So yeah, I greatly appreciate that. Thank you. And now the first thing I'm going to do when the class is over with is to look up how much potassium is in olive oil. So I have the answer to that. That's what I love about students. They always ask me questions, and then I'm always like, okay, got to figure that one out. But yeah, you could use your favorite oil, whatever oil you want, or you can make it with no oil. Just use the vinegar. Okay. Great questions. Great participation. Loved all the comments. Who's going to make the recipe? What do you think? So the Royal Oak Library, I will be back teaching through the library on Monday, October 23rd. Suzanne says me, she's going to make it. So on October 23rd, we're going to be in fall season, right? Which is completely different than summer. So things in the fall season, the signature whole grain is brown rice. There's a lot of pumpkin available out of the garden, right? In the fall time, there's also apples. Also chili. Chili is a good fall, like a warming dish. So let me get some feedback, put it in the chat. What would you be interested in learning in October how to make? Pumpkin soup, brown rice stuffed delicata squash, an apple dish, chili? Give us some feedback and let us know. Also, I'm teaching virtually through Zoom, which is fantastic, but there is an option for the Royal Oak Library to have me live in person. Pumpkin soup or chili. I have a pumpkin chili recipe, actually. I do have a pumpkin chili and it's really good. But there is an opportunity for me to teach in person. Give us some feedback. Do you like the virtual version where you're sitting at home and you're comfortable? Would you be interested in an in-person class at the Royal Oak Public Library? Give us some feedback. Let us know. If not, here in the chat, send the library an email or send me an email. I'm always available, to answer your questions. Macroval.com. Scroll down, it says contact Val. You can contact me. Prefer virtual. Thank you, Wanda. Appreciate that. Also, Facebook is Macroval Food. You can follow me there. You can give me some feedback. Please subscribe to my blog so you stay updated about Appeal. That's very important. Hey, if you're ever in Westland on Thursday from 3 to 7, go to the farmer's market and say hello to me at my booth. Organic, sugar-free jams, sugar-free pieces of pie, and everything I make is vegan. You can get that. If you have any health challenges, I do one-on-one lifestyle counseling. I just updated my counseling page on macroval.com. I've worked with people to overcome cancer, arthritis, Meniere's disease, eczema, all kinds of things. So I can work with you on a one-to-one basis for counseling and overcoming food. What do you sweeten your pie and jams with? Brown rice syrup. Sweeten them with brown rice syrup. And this recipe that I taught today is out of my summer season cookbook. All 6 of my cookbooks are for sale on my website. So make sure you check that out. In person is fun. Great. So we got one person say in person, one person says she prefers virtual. Thanks. Yeah. So we'll figure out. And hey, please, if you get a chance, the upcoming grilling class on July 12th is a lot of fun. And the food is phenomenal and absolutely delicious. All right. Susan, are you there at the library? Still with us?
I'm here
okay.
right now. I am enjoying this class. Thank you so much. The recipe looks delightful and I learned a lot. So thank you for everything, Val. And I did send out a recipe to everyone in the classroom here. I did put my email in the chat. If for some reason you didn't get the recipe, please email me at susan.shiner@romi, ROMI, royaloakmichigan.gov. And we'll look forward to seeing this presentation on our YouTube site. It's right now, I'm going to turn the recording off. Let's see, where's that button? And I'm going to say thank you for everybody coming and making this a wonderful experience. Especially thank you, Chef Val.
Yes, thank you.